Hello, hello, and thank you, Global Entrepreneurship Week. Thank you, YBTT, for having us. We are super excited to be here. My name is Tamara Moluwi, and I am here with my team from Your Business and Digital. Of course, we have the amazing Andrea Ragu in the building. She is the CFO. We have the amazing Michelle Gordon. She is pricing and sales. And we have with us Mr. Michael Wilsha, who does operations. And I am Tamara, and I do marketing and all the digital marketing elements. So we are super excited to have this conversation with you guys today. We're doing it as a part of our podcast, Your Business in Digital. So it is going to be an amazing, amazing conversation. We know that the theme is that entrepreneurship is for everyone. So we're super excited to have this conversation about the impact of the US election and how that's going to impact Caribbean entrepreneurs. So let's jump into the intro. So today we are having an amazing conversation. We are talking about exploring the opportunities and challenges for Caribbean entrepreneurs under the new US administration. So we all know it. We will have a new president effective January. Well, I'm in the US, so I will have a new president effective January 20th of 2025. So we want to definitely have this conversation today because I think it's going to be, it's going to be interesting. And as an entrepreneur, you really need to start thinking about what is the impact to you and your business. So team, Andrea, you're in Trinidad. So tell us, how are you feeling about this new administration and the potential impacts? I know there's going to be a lot from a finance standpoint.
Oh yeah, there's going to be a lot that's going to happen. I mean, we've seen Trump in his previous administration take a lot of risk and take a lot of unexpected decisions. There's a lot of uncertainty right now. We're not sure what's going to happen. You look back at the last one and you look at the policy changes that he made and you kind of go, is he going to do those things now? Is he going to repeal things that was working in our benefit? From since his previous presidency, he was a president of America. Remember, his whole thing was make America great again, and everything was about trying to fight for the American people. So things like immigration was a big, big topic and a big worry for us here in the Caribbean because, I mean, a lot of our people are over there, some in different varying stages of legal status and making their livelihood. So that's one of the main tenets of our relationship with the US. The fact that we go across there and we depend heavily on the ability to go across there, buy our goods there, come back here and sell it, or even just go across there and provide for our family back here. So we're sitting and we're uneasy, I think, just watching what's transpiring. And I think this is why we're having this conversation to try to say, well, let's see the real impact. Let's try to dissect what could possibly happen to give you a pathway, because with uncertainty, people make decisions. They might make it hastily and they might make it in a way that doesn't benefit them because you're just not sure. So that's the kind of consensus here. It's kind of watching and waiting. But with the history of the previous administration, it's kind of like, are we going to see these things happen again?
Right. Michelle, what are your thoughts? You are here with me in the US.
I am here with you. We are going to experience a Trump administration again, but this version will be a bit different. In this instance, the the checks and balances are a bit different, and for our international family, that's something that you should be aware of, because in this instance, not only will the party that he's a member of, the Republican Party, not only has the White House, but they also have control, or will have control, it seems, of the House as well as the Senate. So that with that trifecta, as well as a Republican leaning Supreme Court, he will have at hand the ability to push through without unfettered protest. A lot of the promises that he has put forward as a platform during the campaign. So there are things that we should consider and not have as a wait and see. I think it is relevant and prevalent for all, both here domestically in the United States and our international family, to consider it as a real possibility. It is more going to happen versus a possibility, I should say. And we should prepare for it and understand what are your options, not gloom and doom, but what are the alternatives that you have in order to keep your business thriving? Or if you are a budding business that's coming to the forefront, what are the best ways that you can still accomplish what you need, but find a different source in order for you to be successful and be a sustainable business in the 10 plus years that this will affect us, because it's not just going to be a 4 year thing.
Michael?
Oh, I find like Misha left us on a scary note there. It's not just a 4 year thing. I was like, what? What are you saying? But, great discussion to have this morning. I think even in the Caribbean, we are accustomed to when a political party changes, you need to be aware of what are the significant changes that they pushed their platform on, right? And of course, within this case, we are looking at uncertainty. We don't know exactly what's going to change. We understand the ramifications if it does, in some extent, and some places not so much. But it's that uncertainty. But as you said, we are here to discuss, how do you manage that change when a political party changes and it has that direct impact on markets, on income, et cetera, on travel, all those things. So glad to be here and part of this discussion this morning.
Absolutely, man. Whew. All right. So I think Andrea touched on this already, right? The importance of the U.S. Caribbean economic relations. And I mean, we heavily in the Caribbean depend on those relationships, right? Trade agreements, we export. So there's a lot that we really depend on. So I think these relationships are really, really important. So as everyone has said, we have to kind of really go back and analyze as an entrepreneur, what if you are looking to export, if you have been exporting, if you have been doing business with people in the US, you now have to really take a step back to understand, okay, how does this directly impact me? What were the benefits before? What are the things that were happening before? Were there funding, was there funding that was coming through that may not be coming through anymore? You have to really understand, almost create a list of pros and cons, right? This is a great conversation to start having with the YBTT team, right? Where were they getting funding, things that they were able to move forward, and are those things going to be changing, right? So you really want to, this is where you have to do your research, right? I want you to all to get off of TikTok and stop looking at the 30-second clip, because that has been probably the downfall of many people, just not really understanding what is going on because they watch this 30-second snippet. I want you to start doing the research for your business, for your industry, to understand how that plays into the US strategy in general. So you will be really informed. The key to this is for you to be really, really educated about your industry, about your business, and know as much as you can. So that way you can really navigate these waters. Yeah. Anyone want to add anything to that?
If, uh, as I approach this, one of the things that we have said here in the Your Business and Digital podcast over the course of years, regardless of this administration, is what are your options to ensure that you have not just plan A, but what's your backup for the backup for the backup plan. To ensure that your revenue streams may be sustainable if something falls astray, so that business can move. So what are your lookalikes? If the United States was a primary, which are secondary? Is there another place that has a look and feel of the type of customer that you may have had, or a partner that you may have had in the United States, so that you can lean a bit more into that? I think Tamara is absolutely correct. The single source of information in the snippets on a TikTok, or pick another social media platform. Invest in a bit more time in leaning into understanding the dynamics and the history of not just what's happening here in the United States and where it may possibly go, but those additional sources so that you're able to understand the historical ramifications or what the future is in that specific area. The things that we're speaking of here, we might be speaking of just the United States and this election, but the international environment and the political landscape or the financial landscape are habitual things that we all should be reviewing regardless of any particular election, because what happens in our business is absolutely affected by what's going on in the current event. So we are just inviting you to consider that and making that as a part of your daily occurrence or monthly occurrence, that you weave that into your to-do list for your business as time shifts and moves along.
100%, definitely. All right. So moving on to the next point. So policy shifts with the new administration. So I'm going to kick this over to Michael and Andrea to talk about this one a little bit. The potential policy shifts. What are some of the things that what are some of the things that Trump ran on?
So I know that one of the biggest conversations as we're talking about top level and going deeper is of course tariffs, right? So there's been a lot said about introducing the introduction of more tariffs. And tariffs, we want to be clear: who pays a tariff? The customer, right? Not the exporter. It's the importer is going to pay it, right? So it's you've got to be thinking ahead and what's the demand for your product? How do you keep that demand at a level that says they want to import it regardless of the tariff, right? So that's something that you want to really look at, keep an eye on to see where these tariffs will impact, because of course the U.S. represents its market size for the Caribbean, right? It's a significant market size that the Caribbean does not have. And definitely you want to be looking at, well, how does this tariff impact me? Do I have to make any changes on my end to bring down my price so that it still is affordable, pleasing to the customer, etc., the right price point, etc. But ultimately, the tariff is going to be paid on the receiving end, right? I import something, there's a tariff, I pay it as the importer, not necessarily the exporter. But the exporter is still going to get that price pressure, to say, well, listen, can you deliver this at any lower price, which is a significant challenge in the Caribbean when we talk about exporting. And on that note, I'll pass it over to Andrea for her thoughts as well.
Yeah, here's the thing about the funny thing about how it works, right? So the Caribbean would import some of our raw materials in our manufacturing process from the United States, right? Import that here. We convert it into what we need to convert it in. It's made in, so we now have made in the Caribbean, and then we're trying to sell it back. And that's where, and there's going to be that shift now. After I've taken and I've done my process, I now am faced with pressure to export it back. So that's the whole thing about how trade agreements work and how the global economy works, right? It's supposed to balance each other out. And if you as one nation decide, well, I'm going to put a pressure on one of those areas, then it throws things out of balance. And I could see Caribbean exporters now having serious challenges with getting what is now our local product into the shelves across in the United States, because there's going to be this thing of, well, listen, we can't afford to import this anymore. We're going to have to make this in-house. We're going to have to turn around now and make this, which I think is what the policy is meant to do, right? The policy is meant to enforce what we call here in Trinidad and Tobago, buy local. It's what they're trying to do over there, buy America, made in America. That's a big thing for them. So that I could see that immediately. If you're a custom exporting, even if you're not a small entrepreneur, but you're more of a medium-sized manufacturer, we import. I love when I go across to the States, I could see my local snacks on the shelves in Walmart, right? All our favorite brands, I know. And because the Caribbean diaspora is so heavy in the United States, we love to know that you're living across there and you could get your favorite snack from home. that may be a challenge now. So these exporters here now, I could see that I could see that having that ripple effect. That's one thing that I could see coming out of that specific tariff thing. I could see that really impacting. That's where I see the impact.
Okay, quick story, right? So Shirley biscuits, we get that in Publix.
See,
Publix is a grocery store in the US, and so there's like an international aisle. During the inflation, Shirley biscuits moved from about 80 cents to about $1.09, right? And so with a tariff, I don't know if I'm willing to pay $2 for Shirley biscuits, is what I'm saying. But it is one of those things where you see it and you're kind of like, every once in a while, you're like, you know what? Some Shirley biscuits and some tea make me feel like home. But yeah, oh my goodness, the snacks. I didn't think about the snacks.
I didn't think of exactly. I didn't think about sex, and that's the potential, and that's one of the things that came to mind in when we were talking about it. And that's the potential. Now, if you're an exporter, how do you respond? Michael mentioned, cutting your price, or do you look for another market? It's not just the United States, but I mean, there's a lot of reasons why United States has been a favored market for us. One, our Caribbean diaspora is over there, so there's a ready market waiting to buy. And two, location. It's very easy for us to ship right here to the United States. It's very easy for us to travel. So you find for us, we're very connected. We have a saying here, if America gets a cold, we sneeze, or is it when they sneeze, we get the cold? One of the two, right? When America sneezes, we get the cold. We have to take the cough medicine because we're so connected. But with these shifts in trade policies, you may have to start questioning and looking at, do I need to look at another market? Or strengthen Caribbean within our Caribbean region, exporting within our Caribbean region. Food for thought.
Food for thought, right? Oh, so many things. All right. So next point, key areas of impact for Caribbean entrepreneurs. And so Michelle, you and I will kind of delve into this. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the visa and immigration policy changes, right? So if this could really, because this administration is very focused on America first, and they do not love the immigrants. They do not love the immigrants. And to be truthful, the impact of immigrants it impacts the farming industry. It impacts the jobs that actually Americans may or may not want to do. So there's a lot there when we hear that. So we now have to look at travel and what that means, business travel, what that means. Can you get a visa any longer, right? Establishing business residency. I know people in Trinidad who have bank accounts, who have everything. They run their business in both places, right? And they're able to get US, get all those things. Is that going to shift? The other thing we have to look at is tax policies. For US businesses that are partnering with Caribbean businesses, they may be forced to, because there could be better tax incentives, they could be forced to do business with more American-based businesses instead of those Caribbean-based businesses. So there's some real food for thought around that, right? How does this shift in immigration and this America First movement, how does that really impact you around visa, travel, and around tax policies? So these are things you definitely need to start paying attention to because it could be really game-changing for your business. Michelle, I'm going to kick it over to you.
Yeah. I think that there are a couple of things too where the thought of politics as a business owner should begin to enter your world, and that there are a number of things that the United States benefits from the business that we import and businesses that are in the United States that are thriving in other countries. We've spoken here a couple of times. I think, Andrew, we mentioned Starbucks and the likes of Walmart. It is the opportunity for you as small business owners and pick a place that's in the United States, but specifically Trinidad and Tobago, to speak to your government officials. And what kind of conversations are they having with the likes of a Walmart and a Starbucks that have imported themselves into your country? And they will face additional tariffs and price increases there. And how will that affect their business? Versus another business from a different country that's coming in that does not have the restrictions or the impending restrictions for the reverse relationship. So I think that there are some ways for every country to lean a little harder in and lobby. We live in a world of lobbyists here in the United States, to lobby for your country and have some negotiation there to say, you do this for us, we'll do that for you. And I think that there needs to be some activism and some push in those ways. But for your businesses, it goes the same way. If is there a business or businesses that you're working here with in the United States that are conversely the same way, that pressure needs to be placed on our government here to say this is going to be counterproductive for us. It's going to cost us here in America a lot more because we rely upon goods from that specific place, and this is going to be the cost. So I think there's an educational component in your negotiations and your political landscape that you will need to begin to get involved in. If you were not involved in before, assess what your business is, where you can keep things as they are normal, but also what's your other channel? What's the other revenue stream that's coming through? You'll hear me say that very often because we talk about it here in this space. Do you live and die by one stream of revenue from one specific place, or do you have multiple avenues and tributaries that's coming into your business that keeps things flowing and keep things moving? And if there is a lesson in here for every business, this would be it. This would be the one lesson. Is everything, contingent upon one location and one country? Or are you an omni-channel, omni-country type of business where you're able to have multiple revenue streams? And that's going to be your interim, and I don't want to say your safeguard, but your safe space to ensure that your business is going, and may end up being I don't want to say the best thing that ever happened to you, but open your eyes up to a different way of doing business that you may not have considered before. If you're a products business, if you're a service-based business, par for the course, that this is a very, I don't want to say a non-issue, but the landscape is a lot different. Your conversations may change a bit, but if you're a service-based business working with a lot of people in the United States, there's a way that you can continue your business and be relatively unaffected because it is a service-based business versus a products-based business, unless it's based upon travel, a travel market, because we have heard on this side from the United States that many a country are saying, hello, you citizens of the United States, we love you, but no. We love you, but no, we don't want you here. Considering the environment, and I think that's part of the things that may end up helping in the long run, and that the way that it is going to affect international tourism, and the way that we will be uninvited from many a country. And then for you in travel, it's the same way. What other areas of hospitality can you invite into your country, into your being that mimics, that has a look and feel, a look-alike of the type of business that you have from the United States that will become attractive? It may be a little bit more in travel. You may have to adjust and pivot a little bit to accommodate it. But where are other places? Because as much as the United States has a lot of business for you, there are other places that can be as lucrative for you as well. But it's an untapped territory that you've not even invested in. So there is business elsewhere. Let us help you to figure out where that can come from.
I love that. And that leads right into the next point so well. Opportunities for growth. So, Andrea, I'm going to kick it over because we got to get away from the doom and gloom. We're like, oh my God. So, where are the opportunities for growth?
So, all right. So, in terms of growth, yes, it's not all doom and gloom. You need to look at this from the two sides and see if you could try to find an opportunity. So, one thing you want to look at is looking at the industries that the new policies are favoring. So, these new policies that are coming in would make these industries a little more resilient that you could possibly tap into. For example, renewable energy, technology, innovation. These are the industries that are going to benefit heavily from some of these policies that are about to take place. So you want to understand what's happening in those sectors and see if that aligns with your own business, right? If that's aligned with your own business, maybe you want to further the relationship with them or see how you can benefit from that industry. You also want to look at, there's an opportunity now to export our Caribbean expertise, meaning we have a unique perspective as in the Caribbean as a region. We have unique products. For example, agriculture, artisanal goods. These things are unique to us that can't be produced anywhere. You need to be able to leverage that uniqueness and that Caribbean expertise now to export that. Because if something is unique, it means it can't be replaced. That's the whole point of it being unique. We talk about on this show all the time, what is your value proposition? What is your unique selling position, right? If somebody else can't replace what you offer, then by all means, you stand a lot to benefit. So I think the region, we need to be able to leverage to export our expertise. One thing we have here in the Caribbean, we're very highly educated in terms of our education system. That's why we go across to these other countries and we do very well, right? Because when we go across there, we're literally taking the way of our way of learning, our way of doing things, and of course our products and services, right? Which leads me to the third option, which is remote work expansion, tapping into remote work and these global contracting trends to reach your clients in the US. COVID taught us what was possible. We all know this, right? And now we're seeing this big shift into remote work. A lot of Caribbean nationals here are tapped into those work sites, the Fivers and the others, that and offering their services remotely. So, especially given from the first point where we talked about technology and innovation being an industry that is going to benefit from those policy shifts, then you'll want to look into how can you get into that remote work expansion, because as Michelle just said, visas could be a bit tricky now. The immigration policies may not favor us the way it used to favor before. So then tap into some remote work expansion so that you could be able to export your service into states and still be able to benefit. So those are some opportunities. Mike, I don't know if you want to expand.
I think you covered it so well, but I definitely want to lead into that exporting of services, right? Not exporting. I think the Caribbean has a big opportunity to lead into exporting services that we haven't been making use of as yet. And as well, every country, even regardless of policies that they tout that they want to change, etc., no country can do everything. So you're looking for the gaps. What are the gaps? Where are they not going to touch? Right, which may be a significant number of areas. Of course, the political platform is one of drama and pomp and circumstance, but it's not the entire government that's happening right there, right? So you've got to make sure that you're keeping an eye on where the gaps. What are they not going to be producing, right? So they are not going to take up doing acres of mangoes and avocados necessarily, right? It's just not going to happen. There are some things that the environment, etc., may not allow for. It may not be cost effective as much as they may want it to be American made. It may be too expensive to be American made. So there's also that opportunity to offer, a better price, a better product, leaning into all the other things that Andrea talked to in terms of Caribbean expertise and ingenuity. So there are always going to be opportunities. Look for them. I agree, it's not a doom and gloom outlook, it's a change of outlook. So you just want to make sure, where do I now lie and what's the gap, and where can I continue to thrive within this new policy framework?
You're on mute.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you guys are making it sound like it's going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Do not worry, entrepreneurs. We got you. All right. So, Michelle, let's talk a little bit about some of the challenges to anticipate.
I actually, it's quite interesting when we say challenges, because I'm the person of, again, there's always a plan B, C, D, and E for me. So I think that while there is things that we need to be mindful of and a roadblock, but instead of understanding what this roadblock is, there are three different things to think about, but I'm going to invite you to think about it in a different way, because it is, in some instances, an opportunity for us. There is a compliance for costs that we're going to have to understand, that there might be regular requirements for the Caribbean businesses that are operating in the United States. We do realize that we have a lot of our family in Trinidad that may operate both in the United States and have accounts and have a lot that's going on here in the United States as well as in Trinidad. What are the pivots that you may have to consider? And is there a converse relationship that you may need to operate on with other countries? Remember, there are a number of countries that sit just like you that are seeking new relationships, and who are those people that you may need to consider again? Um, Funding and access to capital. If you have been working, and there's, we understand challenges with a lot of the Caribbean family that you may need to seek or have been seeking U.S. investment. What other lookalikes where you may be able to gain those investments from instead of having the primary source of that being here in the United States? The supply chain. This is a big one. I have a number of clients that are talking both in Canada, in South America, pick a country, that are concerned about the disruptions in the global trade environment because of possible embargoes and supply chain supply issues that we may encounter. So are there any adjustments that you may need to make? And for goods and services that you may be importing in or looking to have come into you, where is the break in the supply chain, and how do you adjust and to accommodate? And are you able to source that locally or in a different country in order for you to keep your business going, or for you to develop a new relationship? And I'm always going to lean into that place because I am far and away not a single source of anything type of person. Who are you? What's your business, and what are your alternative channels to reroute your business? And think about that as a road traveled. When you're traveling, there's a rare occasion where it's just one road in and one road out. There's an alternate detoured route that you may take. And what's that detour that might now be your primary of everything that you're doing? Not saying that this is a definitive thing that's going to happen, but what are your options that may become the thing that you may need to lean into a little harder and take that route a little bit more until things become a bit more normalized again for you? And stability. That's what we're seeking, is for you to work around these challenges, anticipate where they are so that your business can move forward. What do you think, T?
Think you're spot on. I love how you pivoted into, not just challenges, but where are the opportunities. I think that's a really, really solid point. Listen to what Michelle is saying. So I know we're a little short on time, so we're going to move along to point number 7, and then we'll get everyone to do our 30-second wrap up, and we will then make sure we give you some key takeaways. So point number 7 is what is the action plan for Caribbean entrepreneurs, right? What is the action plan for you in Trinidad and Tobago and anyone in the Caribbean watching this? So you want to make sure that you're strengthening those U.S. partnerships to make that market entry easy, right? So connect, network, build those relationships, connect with people on LinkedIn, people that you already have in your network, reach out to them, stay connected with them, really go that extra mile, follow up, right? Sometimes we're a little bit like, hey, well, he didn't reach back out to me. You want to get to that point where you're actually doing more follow-up and connecting and making sure that you are top of mind, right? That's where you want to be, because those we look at the government as that wider relationship, that broader relationship, but we have these relationships like a funnel, right? We have these relationships that are closer to us. So focus in on those. You want to look to really understand, where are there any money incentives? Are there grants? Are there funding? This is where you want to talk to YBTT, right? To understand, is youth business connected with funding, working with businesses in the US to help move stuff forward? So you want to do your homework there and understand if there's potential there. You also want to lean into that digital transformation, right? Invest in the right digital tools and platforms to maintain flexibility. Digital is really the way forward. Andrew talked about it. We saw what happened in COVID. Everyone had to do the pivot. This is kind of like COVID, but not really. You want to do the pivot, and you want to invest in those digital tools, because that really helps you to stay connected, have those conversations. Is a great way for you to stay top of mind. So I'm going to pass it over to everyone here to give their 30-second wrap up, and then we will do our key takeaways. So I'm going to kick it over to, who didn't talk? Who was the last person? Michael, let's go for you. Your 30 seconds. Go for it.
All right, so my 30 seconds. Definitely, embrace the change. Change will always happen. Um, for entrepreneurs, stay close to, the Ministry of Trade, stay close to your, chambers of commerce, etc. Anyone who would have that lead information on what changes are coming. You want to consider, look at it this way. Think of it as a target. And are you in the crosshairs? Are you on the target? Are you not on the map and it doesn't concern you? So start with that risk assessment. Are any of the policies that you're hearing at this point directly going to impact you, or impact you to what extent? As I said, stay close to your Ministry of Trade and your Chambers of Commerce to stay on top of what changes may be coming down the pipe.
Go for it, Andrea.
All right. So leaning into what Michael said, it's really about, yes, staying informed. Tamara, you coined it perfectly. It's kind of like a COVID, but not. But it's going to represent something huge for the Caribbean. That is what COVID was for us. COVID was that's when we discovered words like game changer and pivot and all these things, because it was so dramatic that we had to realign how we were thinking about our lives and our businesses. This is going to be something similar, where you are going to have to make somewhat maybe dramatic shifts in how you do things. You're going to have to do things that you may not did before, and you may have to consider alternative markets depending on where this conversation rests with you, right? Michael Courtney said it perfectly. Stay very close to the chambers. I know here in Trinidad and Tobago, our Ministry of Trade has been doing different missions to different countries, to carry our products and services across in other markets. You want to be able to stay informed of these things. Recently, I saw Guyana. They've been moving heavily over there. That's an emerging market here for us, right here next door. So it's not all doom and gloom, but it is presenting an opportunity for you to do things differently, and do things differently to the benefit of your business. So continue to stay informed and continue to look for the opportunities with what is happening right now.
My friends, this is an opportunity. I've said it throughout the course of the time that we've been with you, that there is more than one road to yes. And this is your invitation to understand what the different routes are. It might be a little bit longer. It might take a little bit, a few more turns here or there, but there are multiple options to you. And this is a detour. This is not a definitive roadblock, because it's just a delay, possibly a delayed yes, but it's not a no. So understand what that new route is for you. Understand what the new channels and obvious revenue streams that are available to you that you may not have had time to investigate before, but now you need to make the time to figure those things out. But it is not doom and gloom. It's an opportunity for you to discover new avenues and new relationships for you to expand your business in a different international type of way. So look at this as an opportunity to a different form of yes, versus it's cut off and my blood supply is gone. This is just another way to feed your business, for you to thrive and to grow and to be a sustainable business in just a different way. Possibly, possibly.
Oh my God, you guys are amazing. I love doing this show with you. All right, so some key takeaways, right? So, in the theme of Global Entrepreneurship Week, we know that entrepreneurship is for everyone, right? So, despite the evolving US policies, Caribbean entrepreneurs can thrive by leveraging your unique strengths, right? Your cultural heritage, and the fact that you are nimble and you can adapt at the drop of a dime. We do it all the time, right? Policy awareness is going to be critical. You have to understand. Get off of TikTok. It doesn't always explain everything. You get that 30-second snapshot. You want to understand those policies. You want to understand how immigration, financial policies, you want to understand how that allows you to move and really where you can seize the opportunities. So as Michael, Andrea said it, talk to the people at the trade ministry. You want to talk to those chambers of commerce, you want to stay connected. You want to talk to YBTT. You want to talk to those folks that have the information. Digital marketing is always a game changer. It's not because I'm a digital marketer, I'm saying that, right? Is the opportunity to reach new places, right? To be really strategic with your SEO, with your social media, to engage. What I like to say is, I want you now to go beyond those likes, go beyond those follows, really start connecting with people, collecting their email addresses. If you leverage your skills, your unique strengths, and use that within the social media platform, it can be, again, really game changing for your business. Resilience drives success. By focusing in on those resilient industries, remote work, the Upwork of the world, the Fivers of the world, you want to see how you can actually leverage those things. Value added exports, right? What's the additional value? If you have to increase your prices, now you want to talk about what's that value add. Are you sending a product, but then you're also creating a video to walk them through how to leverage your product? You want to look at the value adds, because now people are going to be looking to say, hey, you know what? The price went up, but here are all the things that I'm getting with it that makes it so much better. Collaboration is key. Build those networks. If you have those partnerships already, follow up, stay connected, stay top of mind. When you are top of mind, they will reach out to you first. Yes, the larger government is definitely broader, but you want to be in that space. Those one-to-one relationships are going to be important. I want you to be flexible, okay? Flexibility is where you need to be. As if you're flexible, then you can adjust, you can be nimble, you can pivot, you can make those game-changing moves, right? And really be empowered by innovation. We've talked here, we don't want you to be all doom and gloom, but we want you to really foster that Caribbean spirit of entrepreneurship. We want you to make sure that you're leveraging those digital tools, stay informed, and that is really what will help you to move forward in the next 4 years, in the next 10 years. It's really the basis of business, right? No matter what administration, we should be in a space where we're thinking about these things and we're looking at our business globally. Michelle talked about it before. We don't want to have one stream of income. We want to understand where all the markets are, where the potential markets are, where there's growth. We need to all become, we really need to focus on we all need to be economists going forward, right? We need to understand our landscape. We need to be the experts in our landscape so we can grow our business. There's opportunity here for you guys. And we're so excited that you took the time to listen to us and that we got to share this with you. We know that it's important. We're doing it for our businesses. We are on the pivot. We are looking for the opportunities. So thank you so much for listening to us. We are Your Business in Digital. We are a podcast where we talk to businesses about how they can effectively grow their business through digital. That's why we make sure we have a true small business here. We have a CFO in the building. We have sales and pricing in the building. We have operations in the building, and we have marketing in the building. So if you want to check us out everywhere podcasts are found. We're also on YouTube, where you're probably going to be watching this. So stay connected with us. Stay connected with us. Reach out if you have any questions. Thank you so much. Have a great Global Entrepreneurship Week. Entrepreneurship is truly for everyone. Have a great day, guys. Take care.